All right, hello guys. Welcome back to the Grease Review channel. Today's video, I want to talk about Rhaenyra Targaryen, and more specifically, why I think she has become a problem for House of the Dragon, and why I don't think she fit in season 2, and why I'm quite disappointed by the character. And again, I want to point this out. If you like Rhaenyra and the things they've done with her in this season, I respect your opinion. That's just not my opinion, and none of this is meant to kind of attack anyone for how they feel about the episodes or even Rhaenyra. But I want to talk about the depiction of Rhaenyra Targaryen and why I think it's kind of gone wrong for the show and why it's felt so slow with her character. But before we do get into it, I want to say a massive thank you to my Patreons and members for supporting this channel. If you do want to become one, you will get access to my exclusive reviews of the episodes. But going forward, I will have additional content on there instead of House of the Dragon when the season kind of dies off. And yeah, let's get into Rhaenyra Targaryen in season 2. So Rhaenyra Targaryen, to me, in season 2, has been very stagnant. She hasn't really changed since the end of season 1. We've seen like little bits and pieces of her, being, not just this stagnant character, like slapping someone or taking off on Cyrax, hearing that Sea Smoke has has a rider or whatnot, and we've seen little glimpses, but it's just a character that feels like they're being built up as the hero. And I think when you look at Rhaenyra as a character in the book, Rhaenyra in the book is very different. She is someone that's very emotional. She's someone I compare to Catelyn, Cersei, and also Visenya for a lot of reasons. She's someone that is very much impacted by how she feels in a given time. And so when you look at the book to show comparison of the events that are playing out, the book has Rhaenyra be kind of a passive character at the beginning of the war for a certain reason. She is someone that is overcome with grief and anger and sadness, that she isn't at the council meeting. She isn't the one leading. In the early stages of the war, it's Rhaenys and Corlys, and then eventually it's like Jace taking over. And a lot of that is because of this character who just is completely consumed by grief, by Luke's death, the death of her child during the birthing process, and also the death of her father Viserys. And so when you see the show's depiction of the character, that's not at all what the character of Rhaenyra is. Rhaenyra has been shown to be very emotionally intelligent. She is very, smart at times. And so when you see this character of Rhaenyra, who in this season has continuously refused that war, may be needed, or that this can't be solved with peace, and she's a character that continues to do inaction, it doesn't make sense with the show character, because the show character doesn't, she isn't overcome by emotion. She isn't someone that's not irrational, right? And that's why it doesn't work. And so the show has kind of fallen, I think, into this issue where they're trying to make Rhaenyra really likable. Maybe that's for a slow burn of her character or whatnot. I don't know. But she's a character that inherently does nothing wrong, seems to do no bad actions, and she is not complex whatsoever, right? And you see that over and over and over and over, and they beat it like a dead horse. This character just does not evolve, and it doesn't fit, because they're taking what happens in the book and they're trying to apply it to the show when that doesn't work with the character. And you have this issue where in the book, Rhaenyra actually is not a main character for the dance until really the second half of the dance, right? If we're looking at show terms, it'd be like season 3 and season 4. She is actually an active participant in it. But at the start of the dance, she's not really a main character, right? I talked about who the main characters are, and Daemon is also one of those. And so when you have that issue where you look at what House of the Dragon has done with their marketing, right? It's Rhaenyra versus Alicent. It's all over the posters and stuff going into season 2. You take two characters who are very minor at the beginning of the dance, right? Alicent is not involved in a lot of the war stuff going on. Neither is Rhaenyra. They're very passive characters. And so I think what Ryan Condal and their team has done is they've written a character that's boring to watch, a character that has no real emotion, that doesn't really give in to any of these things. She makes illogical decisions sometimes when it doesn't fit her actual character as a whole. Even episode 7, I think episode 7 is really the one that kind of just, it just made me very angry. Is just this character of Rhaenyra has been shown to be extremely intelligent. She's watched as her son died to this war, Rhaenys dies to this war, and she is getting these dragons presumably because she knows she has to beat Vhagar, right? Vhagar is the power of the Greens now. But then she gets the dragons, and she's like, we can win this war because we'll have more power, and so they'll back down. And it's like, really? We're still trying to do peacetime? We're still trying to, like, and I get the idea is we want an anti-war theme, which is great, right? War is not a great thing. War is a really bad thing that affects thousands of people and ruins their lives. But you can also write it in a way to show that, right? Like something that I think really they did well was when you see like the battle between the Brackens and the Blackwoods, and we see the aftermath, because it's meant to show that, you know, this war was so bad we didn't need to even see it. It was pointless, right? It was for hate. You know, even they kind of touch on that in episode 7 as well, like that Will and Blackwood did this because he wanted to. You can show Rhaenyra doing these actions of violence, being forced into these things that are horrible, right? That's what the dance is all about in Fire and Blood. It's showing us two sides with people that are not very good people, that are creating all this conflict and this tragedy and this horror, right? You think about Shireen in season 5 when she's talking to Stannis, and you know, Stannis asked her which side she would have picked, and that's what the whole problem was, people picking sides. And so my biggest issue is we've seen this Rhaenyra character that does not resemble the book version at all, that isn't compelling whatsoever to watch, and has no personality, really. And that's my biggest issue. And maybe that's going to change in episode 8. I don't know, right? But I do feel like now that I've processed a lot of this season, you know, you think about the way Rhaenyra ends season 1. You know, she seems to have this anger and deep hatred in her, and it seems like we're awakening that Rhaenyra of the book, because even in the book, Rhaenyra does some very mixed actions before the war even starts, and her handling of like people like Vaemond, right? It's even more brutal in the book. But at the same time, they just didn't. Like season 2 didn't handle that at all. Like, yeah, she has one episode where she's kind of sad, she's grieving, and she has very few lines. And then outside of that, she's back to normal Rhaenyra. Like even before Viserys died, even before he's killed, like there's no urgency to the character. There's no anger or sadness or anything to the character, right? All she says pretty much throughout the whole season is that she feels kind of boxed in because people won't let her do things. And it just gets repetitive. It gets these things because they're trying to hit the same beats as the book while doing a completely different character. And so, to me, Rhaenyra is broken in the normal story right now. I don't know if they have things planned for her to fix her as a character, but she has no character development in terms of the entire second season, and that's highly disappointing, given that Rhaenyra was the character that I thought was going to have the most. So, yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about Rhaenyra in season 2. I'm just very disappointed by what we got in episode 7 for the character, and I'm just frankly very frustrated with the direction of the character. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But bye, guys.